Exposed, their heartwarming love story after divorce reveals an incredible proposal at a party. In the quaint town of Maplewood, the air was thick with whispered rumors about Emily and Jake, high school sweethearts whose lives had taken unexpected turns. Once the golden couple, now they teetered on the edge of heartbreak and hope. Emily, at 30, donned an apron at the local diner, where the scent of sizzling bacon and bubbling pies filled the air. She was a devoted mother, juggling the laughter of children with the weight of unfulfilled dreams. Jake, on the other hand, returned from military service, a proud veteran haunted by demons from his past, feeling lost amidst the familiar streets they once roamed together. As summer faded, the annual neighborhood reunion party loomed. Old friends would gather and the community buzzed with anticipation, the echoes of distant laughter clashing with the whispers of judgment. Both Emily and Jake felt that prickly pressure, the weight of expectations hanging over them like an ominous cloud. She squeezed ketchup bottles with her left hand while wiping tables with her right, her heart racing at the thought of seeing him again. He stood on the edge of the crowd, nursing a drink, replaying memories of their past. The once carefree moments brought warmth to his heart but also a sharp sting of regret. "Do you remember," an old friend nudged, "the way you two danced during prom?" His heart twisted as he recalled that magical evening, the way Emily's laughter filled the room. It was a sound that seemed lost to him now. Emily caught a glimpse of him, standing awkwardly in a corner, and felt her chest tighten. Could they really face this crowd together? Acceptance, love, and heartbreak blended together in a dizzying swirl. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the evening stretched on, the air crackled with nostalgia and the communal spirit of Maplewood. Friends raised glasses, sharing toasts drenched in laughter, but the atmosphere thickened with tension when Jake stepped forward, heart pounding. The laughter hushed, all eyes on him. He cleared his throat, memories of their shared goals filling his mind, dreams woven together, as strong as his heart was now fragile. "Emily," he began, voice trembling, "I know we've stumbled. But I'm standing here to say I love you still. I want to rebuild what we lost, to start fresh." He held out a ring like a life buoy amidst turbulent seas. Time froze. Emily stood paralyzed, her heart leaping and sinking simultaneously. Could she forgive him? The echoes of their fights and miscommunications tugged at her soul like a forgotten melody. The crowd held its breath as uncertainty loomed large around them. Would she be brave enough to rekindle their love, or would the shadows of their past triumph once more? As hope flickered, the weight of history threatened to crush it, and both stood at the crossroads, lost in a moment filled with both promise and pain. The moment hung in the air, thick with tension and possibility. Emily stared at the ring, its significance almost weighty enough to pull her under. The crowd, a chorus of murmurs and gasps, felt like a distant echo as she stood frozen in time. "Jake," she whispered, struggling to find her voice. Her mind raced through a torrent of emotions. Memories of their shared laughter, quiet evenings spent dreaming about the future, and the heartbreak that shattered it all. Yet here he stood vulnerable and sincere, holding the very thing that once bound them together. "Please," he urged, stepping closer, his eyes pleading. "What we had isn't gone. I want it back. I'd do anything to have our family together again." That familiar warmth flickered within her, battling the bitterness of their past. She thought of her children, of the way their faces lit up when their father walked through the door, even if just for a moment. Could she open her heart again, knowing the risk? A chill swept through the crowd as she hesitated. Old friends exchanged glances, the tension palpable. What if it doesn't work? What if we hurt more than we heal? She thought, but the genuine love that glimmered in Jake's eyes pierced through her doubts. "I'm scared," she admitted, her voice breaking just above a whisper. You hurt me. You hurt our family. I know, he replied, his desperation apparent. I'm not proud of where I've been, but I'm ready to fight for us. I'll attend counseling, I'll listen, I'll be there for you. I swear I'm not the same man I was. Tears pricked at her eyes as the onlookers continued to whisper, some nodding in approval, others shaking their heads in disbelief. You have a chance, a voice called from the back. Take it. With that, Emily felt a rush, a longing that had been hidden beneath layers of hurt. She wanted to believe in happy endings. She wanted to believe in them. But could she? I need time, she said, the words tumbling out. I can't make a decision now. It's too much. A profound silence gripped the space as Jake recoiled slightly, though his expression remained resolute. He nodded slowly, acceptance washing over him despite the hurt. I understand, he said softly, slipping the ring back into his pocket. We have time. I won't rush you. The moment stretched painfully as his gaze lingered on her, a world of unresolved emotions passing between them. Then, just as he stepped back into the crowd, the tension began to dissolve into polite conversation, the party surging back to life. While smiles returned to faces, Emily felt the weight of the decision pressing heavily on her chest. Was that the right thing to do? She wondered. Her heart was still racing, caught between fear and a spark of hope. She looked to her friends, searching for answers in their now buoyant chatter. As the evening progressed, laughter returned, but with it came the creeping realization that whatever path lay ahead, it would carry the weight of what she had just faced. Could she rebuild? Could their love be renewed amid the remnants of their broken past? As doubts crept in, one question loomed larger than all the others: what would it take for them to truly find their way back to each other? The night wore on, lights twinkling like stars overhead, and Emily's heart echoed with uncertainty. Tomorrow would bring fresh challenges, but one thing was clear: this wasn't just a decision, it was a new beginning waiting to unfold. Would Emily embrace it, or would she let fear dictate her heart's journey? The next morning arrived with a soft, hesitant light filtering through Emily's bedroom window. She lay there, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, the events of last night swirling in her mind like a storm. Birds chirped outside, cheerful and unwitting of the turmoil inside her heart. Each trilling note felt like a reminder of the simple joys she had craved but rarely experienced in recent years. As she sat up, a wave of guilt washed over her. Jake had taken a tremendous leap, exposing his heart in front of everyone, while she had sidestepped the moment, retreating behind her walls. Yet, those walls were there for a reason. He had broken her trust once, and the idea of doing it all over again terrified her. Suddenly, her phone buzzed, jolting her from her thoughts. It was a message from Lisa, her best friend. Can we talk? I saw Jake last night. You need to hear this. Emily's heart raced. What could Lisa possibly have to say that would change everything? With a sigh, she threw on some clothes and made her way to the cafe down the street where Lisa practically lived. The aroma of fresh coffee and baked goods filled the air as she entered, providing a brief comfort against her unease. Lisa was already seated, fingers tapping anxiously on the table. Hey, Emily said, sliding into the seat opposite her friend. Hey yourself, Lisa replied, her eyes assessing. So, about last night, you okay? Emily shrugged, the weight of the world pressing down on her chest. I don't know. I don't know what to feel. Everyone's talking about it. Jake really laid it all out there, Lisa said, leaning closer. But I don't think they know the whole story. What do you mean? Emily's heart pounded. Jake is struggling. He's been going to therapy since the separation. He's committed to making changes, and it's not just talk, Lisa said, her voice steady. He's actually trying. It's not easy. I've seen him. He's working hard to be better for you and the kids. Those words hung heavy in the air, and Emily felt a crack in her hardened exterior. The thought of Jake seeking help made her heart stir. Could the man he was trying to become be worthy of her trust? Was it enough to mend what was broken? I'm just scared, Lisa. What if he slips again? I can't take that gamble, Emily said, her voice laced with vulnerability. What if he doesn't? What if he is finally ready to fight for the life he threw away? You loved him once, Em. You still do, don't you? Lisa's eyes bore into her, unflinching, the truth struck, echoing in her mind. Yes, she still loved him. I don't know if I can forget the pain, Emily murmured, her gaze drifting to the window. Maybe it's not about forgetting. Maybe it's about learning to let it go and letting love take its place. Lisa reached across the table, squeezing Emily's hand. You have to decide, not just for yourself, but for the kids. The truth was, everything had changed since the divorce, yet a part of her still wished to return to those moments of laughter and family dinners, shared holidays, and bedtime stories. Emily looked at Lisa, the realization dawning on her. This was a pivotal moment. If there was a chance to rebuild, to find their way back to what they once had, could she be brave enough to take that step? Maybe I should talk to him, she said slowly, nodding as if convincing herself. Definitely, Lisa said, her smile wide. Let him know how you feel. The conversation continued, but Emily's mind was already a whirlwind of possibilities. Would facing Jake again be the catalyst for change, or would it lead her to deeper wounds? Stepping into the unknown felt like a leap off a cliff, both terrifying and exhilarating. As the cafe buzzed with morning chatter, the doubt continued to nag at her, but hope lingered too. Could this be the beginning of something beautiful? Tomorrow loomed, bringing with it the choices that could redefine everything. Emily could feel her heart poised on the edge of a new chapter. And with that thought, a flicker of determination ignited within her, whether she would soar or plunge into darkness remained unanswered. But she knew this, she wouldn't back down without a fight. Would she be ready to face Jake again, or would the fear of pain hold her back? Emily woke the next day with the sun creeping in through the window, a soft warmth that contrasted the chill in her heart. She felt the weight of the decision looming over her like a dark cloud. Today, she would see Jake, and with him, the chance to rewrite their story. But doubts gnawed at her resolve. After dropping the kids off at school, she stood in front of the mirror, running her fingers through her hair, wishing her reflection would somehow give her the answers she sought. The day stretched ahead of her, each hour ticking by with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. As she walked toward the park where they had agreed to meet, her thoughts spiraled. Could they really start anew? Was it even fair to hope that things could be different? Keeping her heart guarded felt safer, but was it truly living? When she arrived, Jake was already there, leaning against a tree, his posture relaxed yet edged with nervous energy. He looked up as she approached, his expression shifting from uncertainty to a cautious smile. She felt her heart flutter despite herself. "Hey," he greeted softly, the sound sending a rush of memories crashing over her. "Hey," she replied, forcing her voice to stay steady. They stood there for a moment, silence enveloping them as the sounds of children playing echoed around. Memories flooded her mind, laughter on summer picnics, stolen kisses beneath the stars. But those were accompanied by sharp reminders of betrayal and heartbreak. "Thanks for coming," he finally said, breaking the stillness. "I know it's a lot to ask, especially after everything." She shifted her weight from one foot to the other, debating whether to lay her fears bare or cloak them in the past. "I need to understand, are you really committed to this?" Jake took a deep breath, his gaze steady and sincere. "I know I messed up. But I'm learning. I want to be the man you deserve, and that starts with being honest about everything. I want us to work on our relationship, if you're willing." His words hung in the air, heavy with possibility. "It won't be easy," she cautioned, her voice slightly wavering. "I'm aware. But I won't give up on us. Not again." As she looked into his eyes, she saw a reflection of her doubts and hopes. It was both terrifying and exhilarating. Could he really mean it? Could they both muster the strength to face their past and build something anew? Tears prickled at her eyes, not just from the weight of the moment, but from longing and fear. I still love you, Jake. But I don't want to just get back together because it's comfortable. I need to know that we're doing this for the right reasons. He stepped closer, his voice low. I want to fight for what we had. For what we can be. I know it's going to take time, and I'm willing to put in the work. I won't take shortcuts this time. Her heart raced. She felt the flicker of hope begin to ignite within her. If Jake truly meant what he said, maybe this was the moment they'd been waiting for, the chance to rebuild their life as a family. But even as she felt hope swell, the fear of being hurt again loomed large. What if they ended up back where they started, in a place where trust was shattered? Can we take it slow? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Absolutely. Jake nodded, a glimmer of relief in his eyes. I want to earn your trust back. One step at a time. As they began to walk through the park, side by side, Emily marveled at the sight. Perhaps today was the first gentle push into the unknown. The butterflies danced in her stomach, both excited and terrified, but as they strode forward, Emily felt a storm brewing within. She couldn't shake the feeling that deeper truths were still waiting to be uncovered. And just as she decided to explore this new path, a familiar figure appeared at the corner of her eye, casting a long shadow over their fragile moment. Emily! Called out a voice that sent both of them stiffening. It was Lisa, her expression a mix of concern and urgency. Emily's heart dropped. What was she doing here? What new revelation would Lisa bring, and how would it affect the fragile ground Emily was finally starting to navigate? Emily's gut tightened as she turned to face Lisa. Her friend was rarely one to intrude without a reason, and the worry etched across her face made Emily's heart race. Was this about the kids? Was there something she hadn't noticed? Lisa, what's wrong? Emily hastily asked, the words tumbling out before she fully processed her surroundings. Jake stepped back slightly, respect for Emily's friendship evident, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of annoyance. Lisa took a moment, her breath shaky as she glanced between Jake and Emily. You need to hear this. It's important. A wave of anxiety washed over Emily. What could possibly be so critical that it required a disruption at such a delicate moment? Can't it wait? Jake interjected, his voice steady but protective. He had his boundaries, and her friend was spilling a storm into a warm moment meant for reconnection. It can't, trust me. It's about Kyle. Emily's heart sank. Kyle was her youngest, inquisitive and sweet. What about him? She clipped, not wanting to spiral into panic too soon. He overheard something at school today. Something that, you need to know. Emily's breath quickened. What did he hear? Lisa hesitated, then exhaled. There's talk among the kids. They're saying weird things about you. About you and Jake. Wait, Jake exclaimed, what kind of things? Emily's mind churned, piecing together what had been said. The whispers, the judgment they would break her son's spirit if he had overheard the wrong words. I need you to be specific, Lisa. They think you're getting back together, Lisa said bluntly. They've seen you two together recently and they've been talking about it. It's confused Kyle. He was crying at school. Some kid said he was too much of a coward to face being a third wheel. If you stop, Emily interrupted, pain gripping her heart. Just stop. Jake moved closer, instinctively wrapping an arm around her shoulders in a gesture meant to shield her. Yet the familiarity of the touch brought its own weight, complicating the fragile feelings swirling beneath the surface. What if it's true? Emily thought. Could they really navigate this new path together? I didn't want to tell you like this, Lisa said, her voice softening, but I care about him. And you. This needs to be addressed. She looked at Jake, and Emily could see the layers of doubt creeping into her friend's expression. You both need to be sure what you want for the kids. Because they notice everything. Maybe we should talk about this somewhere private, Jake suggested, tension coiling between them like a taut wire. No. Emily shook her head, shaking off the haze. Not here. Not now. She could feel the rawness welling up inside Hope Tufts alongside fear, leaving her vulnerable in the wake of this. Not in front of Kyle's friends. Emily, Lisa pressed gently. You might want to clarify things with him. This won't just there. The words settled heavily on her shoulders, the weight of realization dawning. They could risk everything if they didn't act swiftly. Relief mixed with fresh dread, and before she could react, she turned to Jake, seeking a response. What do you want to do? She asked quietly, uncertain yet hopeful, each heartbeat urging them to finally confront the external and internal battles asking to be faced. I want us to be okay, together, Jake said, voice steady. But more than that, I want Kyle to know we're safe. Deep inside, Emma's mind raced with unspoken questions. Would grounding their relationship be enough to help her son? Would he understand, or would the shadows of doubt overwhelm him? As she searched for answers in Jake's eyes, the next moment came crashing in. What if perhaps Lisa was right to draw light on this? What if the distance they had fought with led straight to a crossroads of clarity or confusion? Just as she began to form a response, a figure approached, tall and broad, and for a moment, all her fears evaporated, replaced by an all-too-familiar sensation. Her ex-husband, Mark, had arrived. What did he want with her now? Would he threaten the fragile peace she and Jake had just started to build? The moment Mark stepped into view, the air shifted. Emily could feel her heart thudding against her ribs, adrenaline kicking in as years of unresolved tension threatened to bubble back to the surface. Mark's face was unreadable, but she knew he had a way of disrupting her life just when things seemed to settle. Emily, he called, as if nothing had changed between them. We need to talk. Not now, Mark, she said quickly, her voice sharper than she intended. She could tell Jake was on edge as well, a low growl of protectiveness simmering just beneath the surface. Mark didn't take the hint. He stepped closer, his gaze drifting to Jake, assessing, judging. Are you going to let him dictate your life now? You know you're making a mistake. Emily felt her cheeks flush with anger. This isn't about you, Mark. This is about Kyle. The softness of her earlier self-doubt evaporated, replaced with a fierce determination to shield her son from any chaos Mark might bring into their lives. Is it? Because from where I stand, it looks like you're just trying to replace our life with a new happy family image. Jake stepped forward, his body blocking Emily from Mark's view. You need to back off, man. This isn't your business anymore. Oh, but it is, Mark shot back, his voice rising. It's always my business when it comes to my son. He needs stability, not whatever this is. Stability? Jake echoed incredulously. You call throwing accusations and showing up to disrupt a loving environment stable? Emily's heart raced as emotions boiled to the surface. She wanted peace, a chance to navigate this new relationship with Jake and shield Kyle from the drama that accompanied their history. But as Mark's eyes flicked between her and Jake, she wondered now if it would be possible. It's too confusing for Kyle. Emily shouted, her voice cutting through Mark's defenses like knives. All he needs is to feel safe, and right now, I don't know how he'll react to you being here. At that moment, the air was electric. Everyone around them was frozen, eyes wide with anticipation. Lisa looked ready to intervene, but Emily felt she could handle this. Will you stop acting like I'm the villain? Mark shot back, his frustration at being left out apparent. I want what's best for our son. Only I know how to provide that. Emily searched his face, but there was no love left in those eyes that had once made her heart flutter. What remained was an angry void, and she wasn't about to let it pull them back into old patterns. Listen, she said, her voice softer now, steadier. We can figure out what's best, but we need to do it without bringing the kids into it. You can't just come in here and make accusations. This is not the time. Mark's expression hardened, but at least she could tell that her words made him pause. I care about Kyle more than anything, he muttered, a fleeting shadow of vulnerability breaking through his bluster. Emily took a breath, making this about Kyle and not letting old wounds dictate how they would move forward. She needed to establish that not just for her sake, but for her son's. Then let us talk, Mark. About him, not us. Can you do that? For a moment, she thought she saw a small shimmer of understanding in his eyes. But it was quickly replaced by the old, defensive wall. I'll do what I have to, he replied coldly. Jake squeezed Emily's hand, a silent agreement that they face this together. She needed to focus on what came next, on the relationship they were building and the son they both loved. Across the way, kids were still present, whispering about their subtle hints of confusion and secrets. Kyle was in the middle of all of that, and she needed them to come to terms with what that meant. As they all stood, the tension a palpable chord in the air, Emily realized she was on the brink of something far more significant than just settling old scores. Mark, she began, her voice unwavering, we need to meet just us. This has to be a calm conversation for Kyle's sake. Mark looked at her, momentarily caught off guard. Jake shifted close to Emily as she made her offer. Unsure of what was about to unfold, but just as Mark began to respond, a sharp giggle echoed from behind them. It was Kyle, running across the lawn with his friends, oblivious to the storm swirling around the adults. Mom! Mom! We're having a water balloon fight. He shouted, laughter bubbling through. Emily's heart sank momentarily. Could they truly sort this out without dragging Kyle into it? Would she have to break the news of their complex dynamics to him again? She caught Mark's gaze, a deep expression swelling between them. There was unresolved history, but they had to do better for Kyle. Right now, he needs us to be the adults. Can you stay focused for him? She pressed, feeling the weight of the moment cloak her with urgency, and just as Mark's lips parted, an unexpected voice chimed in from the sidelines, startling them from their fragile understanding. You two are talking way too loud. It was one of Kyle's friends, eyes sparkling with mischief. Are you getting married or something? Emily felt the heat rise to her cheeks, heart racing. Would this slip spur more chaos? Would they be thrust back into the complicated emotions of their past? Mark glanced at her, a flicker of something. Was it panic, amusement? They were at a crossroads, both realizing this was about so much more than mere rumors. It was about defining their children's reality and their own. What would happen next? Would they push past the awkwardness, or would Mark's arrival disrupt everything, leaving them all scrambling for clarity? The laughter of the kids floated around them, a stark contrast to the tension that hung heavily in the air. Emily swallowed hard, aware that the lightness of the moment wasn't for them, but for Kyle. The innocent joy bubbling over from his little group stung directly against the seriousness of their situation. The childhood laughter felt almost mocking in the face of their adult struggles. Mark's expression shifted, the hint of a smile threatening to break through as he watched Kyle frolic. For the briefest moment, Emily saw the father she once knew, the one who cherished those giggles and playful shouts. But then, the wall went back up, and she felt her earlier relief slip away. Reality washed over her again, cold and hard. Are you two really considering marriage? Mark's voice dripped with sarcasm, and Emily knew he was about to deflect. She couldn't let him. Not now, when Kyle's happiness hinged on them making progress. No, Mark, we're not, she said firmly. But we have to make this right for him. He deserves to have us both in his life without the shouting and accusations. Jake's grip on her hand tightened, silently urging her forward. Look, we all know that co-parenting isn't easy. But if we keep getting stuck in this cycle, we're going to confuse Kyle even more, he said, his voice steady but filled with a quiet fire. Mark shifted uneasily, casting a sidelong glance toward Kyle, who was now grinning wide, filled with mischief and youthful exuberance. The sight was bittersweet for Emily. Kids shouldn't have to bear the weight of adult choices. It broke her heart to picture how this stress could seep into Kyle's happy summer days. Emily, you think this is simple. You can't just wish for things to be better. Mark's tone was sharper than he intended, perhaps revealing his own anxiety. You don't know what I've been doing. You can't just erase the past. But I'm not trying to erase anything. She could feel frustration boiling up inside. I'm trying to move forward. We have to find ground, even if it's shaky. You, me, and Jake, we all love Kyle. Isn't that common ground enough? Mark paused, his mouth opening and closing slightly. She dared to hope he might finally see the bigger picture in the thick haze of tension. However, the fleeting moment of openness faded to a stony silence. Just tell me, he said, finally meeting her gaze. Are you going to let Jake be Kyle's father? The question hung in the air, dangerous and fraught with implications. Emily felt Jake's fingers tighten around hers, the unspoken bond of support evident. They had chosen this path together, and she couldn't let fear dictate her response. Jake is part of Kyle's life, Emily said slowly, emphasizing the word part. She wasn't out to replace Mark, nor to erase the father-son bond. But they needed to coexist better, co-parent. A flicker of what looked like jealousy crossed Mark's face, and she saw it, the raw pain of loss and change. For a moment, she was back to the days when they had both wanted the same things: happiness, stability, a family in the truest sense. Does that mean you're okay with him being around? Mark's tone softened, revealing vulnerability she hadn't seen in years. What if Kyle likes him better? The truth hung between them, a tangible reality that was uncomfortable but necessary. It's not about liking, she said firmly. It's about what he needs. I just want him to feel safe and loved. That's what we all want. As if on cue, Kyle raced back toward them, holding 2 water balloons in each hand, eyes bright with excitement. Mom! Can you play? Come on, it'll be fun. The invitation was like a lifeline thrown to Emily. How could she say no? As joy in her son's face burst like the water balloons he wanted to throw, she felt the resolve firm up within her. Maybe this was a chance to set the stage for something better in front of Kyle at least. Just for a minute, she said, squeezing Jake's hand for strength. Let us show him we can do this together. Can you handle it, Mark? Mark glanced from Emily to Jake, and she could see the gears turning behind his eyes. It was a step, albeit small, toward the conversation they needed to have. There was hope in the air, wrapped in the laughter of children, and as everyone readied themselves for the playful battle ahead, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that the real fight wasn't with Mark or Jake, but rather within herself. She had to find a way to bridge past hurts with new possibilities. Because in this melee of water balloons and spirited shouts, she could see a glimpse of the family they all yearned to be. Would this fragile truce survive the next wave? Or would the underlying tensions come crashing down with Kyle's laughter echoing like a distant reminder of what they all needed but were too afraid to reach for? Kyle bounded forward, the water balloons swinging wildly in his grip, his joy radiating like sunshine on the summer day. Emily felt a rush of warmth seeing him so spirited, untouched by the shadows of adult struggles. She smiled at him, a genuine, bright smile that reached her eyes. Okay, champ. What do I do? Dodge and throw. He exclaimed, laughter spilling from his lips. The game began. Emily crouched down, her heart pounding with exhilaration and a touch of dread. If only this could last pure moments of play without the weight of adult worries. Mark finally cracked a smile, too. All right, Kyle. I may be older, but I'm still quick. He began to dodge to the side, making exaggerated movements, and soon, they were all in motion dodging, ducking, laughter intertwining with the splashes of water as balloons burst on impact. Jake stood back for a moment, watching with a knowing gaze. This would be the first time in a long while he'd seen the 3 of them joyfully connected. He wanted to join in, to be part of the laughter but hesitated, unsure of his place in this brief moment of unity. Emily caught his eye and gestured him over. Come on. We need another player. With a burst of encouragement from Kyle, Jake quickly shed his reservations and embraced the chaos. The three of them became a triangle of laughter and splashing water, each throw more daring than the last. But the moment was fragile. As balloons broke and Kyle cheered, Emily saw the shadow of uncertainty flicker in Mark's eyes. Could this fun, this lightness, be enough to wash away their past? Hey, Kyle, Mark said, wiping water from his forehead. Let's take a break for a second, okay? Kyle paused, the delight fading from his face, replaced by confusion. Why? Just for a minute. I want to talk to your mom and Jake. The word seemed to land heavily, a sudden drop in the joyous atmosphere. Emily felt Jake's hand brush hers, an unspoken support amid the tension. She wasn't ready to step back into the heavy conversations yet. Not now, not when they were finally making headway. Why don't we all just sit down for a minute? She suggested, hoping to lighten the moment. We're all together, and Kyle can show us his best water balloon throw. Mark seemed to consider that, eyes flickering from her to Jake. She could see him wrestle with something, some urge to return to conflict. But Kyle, oblivious to the adult turmoil, kicked off again, running toward the picnic table that held their cool drinks and snacks, eager to show off his skills. As they sat down, the atmosphere thickened with unspoken words. Emily watched Kyle pick up another balloon, an embodiment of carefree energy. She took a deep breath, hoping to navigate this conversation with grace. Look, Mark, I don't want to throw accusations or bring old grievances back up, she started slowly. But we need to find a way forward. Mark sighed, his shoulders sinking slightly. I don't know if I'm ready for that, Emily. It's just hard. It feels like I'm losing him. You aren't losing him, Jake interjected, leaning forward, his tone steady but soothing. I'm here to support Kyle. We want to be a family however that looks. Can't we find that together? Mark nodded, pain lingering in his eyes as he wrestled with the implications of those words. I just need to know if you'll always consider him my son too, he said, voice breaking slightly. Emily's heart twisted. They were all wrestling with fear of losing connections that felt so vital. Always, Mark. Just because I'm with Jake doesn't mean I can erase what happened or how much you mean to him. We both love Kyle. The moment hung between them, anticipation thrumming in the air. Mark looked down, lost in thought, while Kyle bounced back to them, triumphant, balloon at the ready. Are you guys playing or chatting? Emily exchanged a glance with Jake and Mark, who both managed smiles despite the heaviness still floating in the air. We're listening, she said, her voice brightening. What do you have for us, buddy? And as Kyle launched that balloon with all his might, the water exploding around them was a reminder that amidst all the tensions, every playful moment built a bridge. But would this balloon represent a turning point, or were they simply delaying the inevitable? Would they be able to ground the laughter and connection, or would the weight of their pasts ultimately threaten the fabric of a new family? Kyle's balloon arched perfectly through the air, glistening in the late afternoon sun before splattering against Jake's chest. Laughter erupted like fireworks, scattering the remaining tension. Kyle squealed with delight, bouncing up and down while Jake feigned a dramatic gasp. All right. You've got skills there, champ. Jake chuckled, wiping water off his shirt while grinning at the boy's infectious joy. Emily felt a wave of relief wash over her. For a moment, all seemed right in their little bubble, insulated from the heaviness lingering in the adult world. She joined Kyle on the grass, rain-washed and shimmering, and reached for a balloon for herself. Okay, I'm going to show you how it's done. Mark relaxed slightly, a hint of amusement etched on his features as he watched them. It wasn't often he got to witness Emily and Jake interacting this way with Kyle. Laughter rang around them, but somewhere deep down, Mark could feel the weight of his unspoken words pressing heavily on his heart. Next one, Kyle. You can't be the only water balloon master, Mark said, joining in on the fun, as he grabbed a balloon from the pile. Kyle encouraged him with a squeal, and soon the air was filled with playful challenges, banter, and splashes of water. The small cocoon of joy wrapped around them felt like a fragile oasis, and for a brief moment, the ghosts of their past faded. After a while, they collapsed onto the grass, panting and giggling, water dripping from freshly soaked clothes. As they caught their breath, Emily looked at Mark and saw the hesitant smile on his face. She couldn't ignore the shift, the childlike joy that had distracted them from reality. It was real and beautiful, but it also marked an important turning point, one they needed to talk about. "Kyle, sweetheart," she began, pulling him close, "how about we share some lemonade before the next round?" He nodded eagerly, and she shot Mark a glance that pleaded for a moment. As they filled their cups, Emily whispered to Jake, "Can we pick up where we left off after? I can feel the conversation bubbling back." Jake nodded, understanding etched on his expression. "Let's just enjoy this for now. We're getting there." They drank lemonade while Kyle chattered excitedly about his epic water balloon strategy. Mark watched, the warmth of the scene gnawing at him. It was this familial connection he longed for, but doubt still loomed nearby, reminding him that nothing felt set in stone. "Hey, Kyle," Mark said, his voice gentle. "What do you think about having a family game night? Just us three?" Kyle's eyes lit up. "Can we do it every week? Please?" Emily felt the rush of emotion rise within her. Could this simple event signify a more profound shift? A step towards a united front where they all belonged? Absolutely. "But we need snacks," Jake chimed in, forcing a smile amid the heaviness that still clung to the edges of their conversation. Mark and Emily exchanged a look, both aware of the unspoken agreement: they had to try. Unity wasn't simply about playing games. It was about building something stronger than what had shattered before. Yet, as the sun dipped lower, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold, Emily couldn't shake off the brewing anxiety. Will it be enough? Their laughter echoed around them, but her heart began to weigh heavier. They hadn't resolved everything. The balloon battle might have brought out smiles, but what came next would require deeper vulnerability. "Let's plan the game night," Mark said, as if reading her thoughts. "We'll figure it out together." As Kyle cheered, Emily felt an unfamiliar warmth blossom within her. Could they take that leap? Could love still flourish despite the cracks? The echoes of their laughter still hung in the air, offering tiny glimpses of hope. But when would they be brave enough to face what lay beneath? Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a message from an unexpected person. As she fished it out, she hesitated, uncertainty gnawing at her. What news lay ahead? Would it change everything they were building? The chill brought back memories too close to ignoring. As they settled in for the evening, laughter still echoing in their ears, Emily's heart raced with a mix of excitement and trepidation. The balloon fight had been a release, a burst of joy that seemed to knit together the frayed edges of their complicated connections. But as the sun dipped lower, she felt the weight of unresolved stories pressing in on her. Jake noticed her silence. He placed a gentle hand on her back, a reminder of his unwavering support. "You all right?" he asked, his voice soft but firm. She took a moment to breathe, then nodded. I want to make sure this isn't just a temporary patch. I want it to mean something." Jake looked deep into her eyes, and she felt the bond of understanding unspool between them. "It will mean something if we're committed, Emily. We can face this together." But before she could speak, Kyle bounced over, still drenched but glowing with happiness. "Are we really going to have a game night, Mom? Can we?" "Absolutely, buddy. Just you, me, Dad, and snacks galore," she exclaimed, the warmth in her voice genuine. "Yes!" Kyle shouted, pumping his fists in the air. Mark chuckled, something lighter breaking through the tension. "Just don't blame me when your snack choices turn into an all-out sugar-fueled frenzy," he teased, casting an amused glance at Emily. She laughed, relieved. Maybe this was how it would feel. They were finding their way back to shared moments, disguised as fun and games but underlined by the work they had to do. Then, as if on cue, her phone buzzed again. The familiar dread crept back into her chest. She pulled it out, glancing at the screen to find a message from Lisa. "You need to talk to Jake about what I told you. It's important." Her heart dropped. Lisa's earlier revelations loomed over her like a storm cloud. She needed to share this with Jake, but the timing felt precarious. Would it ruin what they were beginning to build? "Everything okay?" Jake asked, catching her hesitation. Yeah, just." She hesitated. The truth was, her friend had revealed to her that Jake was working through some lingering issues from the past that could threaten their future together if not addressed. She had to bring it up, but how? "I think we need to talk about what really happened before," she finally said, feeling the weight of truth upon her. "What Lisa told me yesterday about your past." Jake's expression shifted, understanding dawning. "I'm all ears. We have to be open if we're going to do this right." Kyle, sensing tension, looked between them. "Can I go play with my friends?" "Sure thing, champ. Just remember to keep it light and fun." Emily replied, waving him off with a smile. Once they were alone, she swallowed hard, knowing this required courage. "Lisa mentioned you've been going to therapy, trying to work through things. Why didn't you tell me?" Jake sighed deeply. "I didn't want to overwhelm you. I thought I could show you I was changing, that I was ready without spelling it out." Emily shook her head. "But how can we rebuild if we're still carrying hidden burdens? If there are things you're wrestling with, I want to face them together, not as secrets." He looked at her, his deep brown eyes searching hers. "You're right. I guess I thought I was protecting you from more hurt. But I didn't want to keep you in the dark. Not when we have a chance." Taking a breath, she replied, "I'm all in, Jake. But we have to be honest with each other. No more running from our truths. If we're going to be a team, we have to share everything." To her surprise, Jake smiled, a genuine, radiant smile that seemed to lift the air around them. "I promise to be open with you. I want us to be better." As they forged forward, something shifted. The conversation felt like the first step toward liberation from their fears rather than a retreat into old wounds. They would face those together. What had hurt them would become the very foundation they could build upon. Mark returned with an armful of snacks, his jovial demeanor reignited. "Who's ready for some epic game night adventures?" Emily grinned, feeling the strength of community surrounding her. "Let us do it. Show me what you've got." They settled together around the picnic table, laughter bubbling back as the three dove into planning their nighttime festivities, the air thick with the scent of popcorn and the shimmer of friendship, and as Kyle excitedly talked about board games, Emily's resolve solidified. She believed in this: a family redefined, healing painful pasts together, all while recreating the joyful chaos they'd once lost. Sometimes, moments of light piercing through the heavy darkness are all you need to spark hope. Every shared laugh felt like a new beginning, an uncharted territory they were ready to explore together. Would they stumble? Sure. Would they carry fragments of the past? Undoubtedly. But they had something tangible now: the commitment to navigate the storms together, all in the name of family and love. As the first balloon flew in the air again, Emily felt a rush of gratitude. Here, within her heart, she believed they could be whole. With that, she took Jake's hand, intertwining her fingers with his, ready to move forward into whatever lay ahead, but deep down, she knew this was just the beginning. Would they find their way through it all unscathed, or would the past catch up with them again? There were still conversations to be had, truths to be faced, but for now, they were willing to chase the light, one brave step at a time, and just like that, in the laughter of children and shared moments of joy, the foundation for something beautiful began to form anew. Now's the time for you to become a part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you won't miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending because I want to hear from you. And you need to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.